Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to NoDQ video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift NoDQ. I have your questions coming from twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag NoDQ video. We have the Royal Rumble coming up in just a week, so lots of topics to discuss regarding the Rumble and other areas of professional wrestling. Let's go ahead and get started. First one today comes from SCW Wrestling Channel. Hey Aaron, who would you like to see as surprise entrants in the Royal Rumble matches this year? There are several names I would like to see, but probably will not see. I want to see some legends that we haven't seen in a WWE ring in a very long time. The name that comes to the top of my list is Ken Shamrock. I would love to see him make a comeback in WWE, even if it was just for the Royal Rumble. I'd like to see some guys that we don't see every single year. And I would like to see some surprises. I would have liked to have seen a few NXT surprises. That's the downside to debuting Lars Sullivan, EC3, Lacey Evans, all them, announcing them in advance. You could have used them as Royal Rumble surprises. Now maybe we'll see a few other NXT surprises. Maybe we'll see Johnny Gargano in the Royal Rumble or something like that. Maybe Aleister Black. That would be cool. Of course, the big name, which isn't going to happen because he's still under contract to New Japan Pro Wrestling, is Kenny Omega. And for the Women's Rumble, I could see a lot of the women that were in the Rumble last year show up. We'll see some of the legends like Molly Holly appear in the Rumble. Maybe Victoria, since she's apparently going to be retiring after this year. It would be nice to see a few other surprises. Maybe Sable could come back for one more match or something like that, just for the fun of it. It would be cool to see somebody that we're not expecting and for it to truly be a surprise. But also, the more of a surprise it is, probably the bigger the long shot it is as well. This one comes from Chris. Hey Aaron, just a thought. With everyone talking about the NXT call-ups lately, does it make people forget about Aleister Black and Undisputed Era, and when they debut after WrestleMania, will it be more of a surprise? Not necessarily, because I feel like the big guns are going to be debuting after WrestleMania. Usually the big call-ups are right after WrestleMania. So to me, it's not really that big of a surprise. I think with the call-ups that WWE just announced, I feel like that was done as a response to the lower ratings and WWE's attempt to generate some more buzz for the product. But I would expect the top stars like Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, I expect them to be called up after WrestleMania because that's one of the biggest shows of the year. Usually it's the most watched Raw of the year. So that's the time to bring in the big guns and have those top stars be called up to the main roster. So I expect it. I expect several big names to be called up on that Raw after WrestleMania. This one comes from Jason Bush. Where does Dean Ambrose go from here? It feels like he has zero momentum. That is a great question, and I don't even have a good answer for it. I don't know what you do with Dean Ambrose. WWE really screwed him up big time. The heel turn should have been great, but WWE did not let his character evolve into something that would have been a compelling heel television character. Instead, he just became a very watered down run-of-the-mill heel that just runs down the city that he's in. Ambrose did not become this scary, crazy man that I thought he was going to be when he turned heel. And the crowd just hasn't cared about him. Ambrose was at least getting big pops as a face, but now he's a heel, and yeah, he could go back to being a face, but I mean, it's going to be tough for him now. WWE really dropped the ball big time with him. And I don't know what you do. I don't know if you try to have him move to SmackDown. I really don't know. But this should have been like the biggest heel turn in years when WWE was playing off of the Roman Reigns leukemia announcement. And instead, here we are 3 months later, the Rollins-Ambrose feud is pretty much DOA, and Ambrose lost the IC title and just feels like he's treading water. I don't know what to do with the guy, quite frankly, other than move him to SmackDown, but that might be several months until WWE does the Superstar Shakeup. Got this one here from #SequesterSuperfan. Since Kevin Owens is now a borderline babyface, what if he returned to help Finn Balor defeat Brock Lesnar at the Rumble? New Balor Club? I don't think that's going to happen for a number of reasons. First of all, I don't think we're going to see Kevin Owens that soon. Second of all, Brock Lesnar is not losing the title. I would say that is a very realistic possibility that he will retain the title. And third, I just don't see WWE doing a Balor Club faction. So, do I think it's a good idea? Not really, because I don't see a babyface cheating to help another babyface win. Just doesn't make sense to me. But then again, is Brock Lesnar really a heel? Who knows? But no, I don't see it happening. I think it's unlikely. And if it was me, I would bring back Kevin Owens with Sami Zayn and possibly do Kevin Owens versus Bobby Lashley for the IC title, since it was Lashley that put Owens out of action to begin with. So I personally would not do that storyline. Got this one here from Alfredo. Hey, my good compadre, hope you're doing great. What if the two confrontations between Triple H, Rollins, and Styles Vince leads to an interpromotional match with a very important stipulation at WrestleMania? Don't think it's going to happen. I mean, WWE has pretty much already forgotten about the Vince McMahon, AJ Styles angle. I mean, yeah, there was no follow-up to it. AJ punched out Vince, and that was it. Vince did not address it. Well, I guess him and AJ had their little backstage segment with Shane, but there was really no follow-up to it. So I don't think we're going to see any interpromotional match like that. I feel like it was just some kind of angle to make AJ Styles more edgy, I guess. Like, hey, he punched out the boss. That gives him some cool points with the fans. I don't know. But I don't see WWE doing that. I don't think they're going to do an interpromotional match. I mean, there's always a possibility they could do one, but that particular scenario doesn't feel like it's happening from my perspective, at least. Got this one here from Kenneth. Hey, Aaron, what do you think of Seth Rollins winning the Royal Rumble and facing the winner of AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 35 for the WWE title, and maybe Strowman versus Taker at Mania, as to my knowledge, they have not faced each other? Now, this might seem a little bit more likely, where Rollins wins the Royal Rumble and everyone's thinking he's going to face Brock Lesnar, but then he swerves everybody and says he's challenging either AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan, whoever wins the Royal Rumble match. And then you do an interpromotional match, or perhaps you have Seth Rollins going over to SmackDown, and he hasn't been on SmackDown. He's been on Raw for the last few years, so I could see that as a possibility. I think that's more realistic than the previous question and that scenario. And then that could open the door, and I'm not really looking forward to this particularly, but that could open the door for Braun Strowman to win Elimination Chamber and then face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and WWE finally has Strowman beat Lesnar. And I'm still not going to bet against Lesnar at WrestleMania, just out of principle, because every time I say, oh, Lesnar's going to lose, he's going to put over somebody, and then he's going to go away, he just keeps on winning, and he keeps sticking around. So I'm just going to be defined. I'm going to jinx myself in my prediction by picking Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I'm already doing it right now. I'm picking Brock Lesnar to retain the title, regardless of who the opponent is. I'm just doing Brock Lesnar. I'm picking Brock Lesnar. Got this one here from Sean D. I think Finn Balor beats Brock at the Royal Rumble due to outside interference from Braun. So instead of having interference from Kevin Owens, we have Braun Strowman for this question. Seth wins the Royal Rumble and the right to face Finn Balor at WrestleMania. Brock is busy with Braun and out of the title picture. We get a Seth-Finn feud the way it was supposed to be the first time. Now, on paper, this sounds like a cool idea, to have Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania for the Universal title. However, we all know that ain't going to be the main event. We all know that Lesnar and Strowman will get billing ahead of that match. So you might as well have the Universal title match be the match that's going to close the show. You don't want the Universal title going the route of the WWE title and being in the mid-card. I just don't see that happening. I like the idea, but realistically, I think Brock's going to be in the main event at WrestleMania, and he'll be the Universal Champion. I don't see the Universal title being somewhere in the middle of the card. Just don't see it. This next one comes from Mr. Yuck. Instead of ending the brand split again, would merging the championships be as effective while having just title belt holders jumping brands? Any hints of WWE doing such with only one set of women's tag team champions introduced? I have not heard anything about that personally regarding WWE merging the titles. I've said this many times. I think it should happen. I think ending the brand split is a stupid idea when you have so many people on the roster. It would just result in a lot of people not getting TV time. Not a fan of that. I think the brand split is the way to go when you have such a large quantity of talent under contract. I like to see the titles merge. It appears that the women's tag team titles will be dual branded, or maybe they'll just be Raw exclusive. I could see that happening as well. But I think it should be both brands. And I think the next step WWE should do is merge all the titles, but you can keep the IC title exclusive to Raw, and you can keep the US title exclusive to SmackDown. Everything else is dual branded, and you can have the champion challenge a Raw competitor one month, next month they challenge somebody from SmackDown, and you just keep doing that. To me, that's the way to go in the future, but don't know for sure if that's going to be happening. I would like to see it happen, but nothing is set in stone at this time. Got this one here from It's the Costanza. If Lars Sullivan's anxiety was a work, which it isn't, could it have been beneficial to adding it to his character as the Freak? He can be used as like Kane when he unmasked and was afraid to show his face because people say he's a freak and going insane. I would not put it past WWE to do a storyline like this. If Lars Sullivan does appear on television and he does go through with his run on the main roster, I could see WWE doing something like this. I could see them trying to exploit a real life problem and turn real life into a storyline. Sounds like something WWE would do, and they have done it before. WCW did it with Scott Hall. They took his real-life alcohol problems and made it part of a storyline. Quite frankly, WWE did it with Hawk, too. They did it with Jake the Snake Roberts. They've done it with other people with real-life issues, bringing it to the forefront on television as part of a storyline. You know, relationships going bad, like Matt Hardy and Lita, that became a storyline. So yeah, would not surprise me at all if Lars Sullivan showed up on TV and they did some sort of anxiety storyline with him. Although some people would say that would be in bad taste, but we know WWE. I mean, this company doesn't exactly do things that are best in taste. Let's be real here. Even in this so-called PC era of WWE, they still do things that are controversial. Crown Jewel, for example, and the whole Saudi Arabia relationship. So yeah, I could see WWE possibly taking the real life situation with Lars and trying to make a story out of it. That'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ Video. Thank you all so much for watching and continuing to support NoDQ.com. If you have a moment of time, please share a link to this video on social media, and make sure you hit the notification button, the little bell symbol on YouTube, so you can get the very latest updates as they become available. And stay tuned to NoDQ this week in the YouTube channel for Royal Rumble coverage, NXT predictions, Rumble predictions, and all that good stuff. I will see you guys next time.